thing that haunts people more than anything else is the thing they didn't do 20 years ago. Not buying a house, not starting a business, not investing in something. 22% of Americans say their biggest financial regret in life is not saving for retirement early enough. That has been the #1 regret in America. #1 for 6 out of the last 7 years. And the shame of that is real. It sits heavy. It makes people feel like they already failed. So why try now? That shame is the most expensive thing most people carry, because it stops them from doing anything about it today. I'm about to show you something different. I'm about to show you it's not too late. And I'm gonna prove it with actual numbers. Got a money MC. This starting Baltimore, Oxon Hill, MD. Here's what I want you to hear. Harsh. Shame is useless. Shame doesn't change anything. Action does. And right now, if you're 40, 45, 50, 55, you are in your peak earning years. The average household income for people age 45 to 54 is 800 a year. The money exists. The question is what you do with it from here. Right now, I tell you, listen up. Yo.
Let me show you what is actually possible. You are 40 years old. You have zero, literally zero, saved for retirement. You start putting away $23,500 a year into your 401k. The market averages 7% return, which it has for 70 years. By age 65, you are looking at close to 1.5 million. Starting from zero at 40, 1.5 million by 65. The math works. Now maybe you're 50. You think you're too far behind. You're not when you turn 50. The government lets you contribute more under 50. The 401k limit is $23,500 a year. At 50 and older, it jumps to $31,000. That extra $7,500 a year is called a catch-up contribution. It was designed specifically for people in your situation. Zero at 50, contributing the maximum, $31,000 a year. Same 7% return. By 65, you're looking at nearly $800,000. That is not nothing. That is real money. That is a foundation. And if you're 60, 61, 62, or 63, I need to tell you about something that most people have never heard of. It's brand new. It started in 2025. It's called the Super Catch-Up, and it came from a law called Secure 2.0. At ages 60 to 63, you can now put $34,750 a year into your 401k. Not $31,000, not $23,500, $34,750 a year. That is the government saying, we know you're in the final stretch. Here is a bigger window. Use it. Most people in that age group have never heard this number. If you are 60, 61, 62, or 63, this is your moment.
Here's where most people get it wrong when they start late. They think being behind means be careful, be conservative, be safe. Wrong. Being too conservative too early kills your growth potential. If you are 45 with nothing saved, you have 20 years before you need this money. 20 years is a long time. The stock market has averaged 7 to 10% annual returns over 70 years of history. You need that growth working for you, not sitting in something safe that barely keeps up with inflation. The allocation for a late starter. In your 40s, 80 to 90% stocks, 10 to 20% bonds. In your 50s, 60 to 70% stocks, 30 to 40% bonds. Still mostly stocks, because you still have 15-20 years before you need this money. Now, index funds or actively managed funds? This one is simple. Over the last 10 years, 84% of actively managed funds underperformed their index benchmark. Not half. 84% failed to beat the market they were supposed to beat, after charging you for the privilege. Actively managed funds charge 0.50 to 1.50% per year in fees. Index funds average 0.08% per year. On the $300,000 portfolio, that fee difference is costing you $1,260 to $4,260 every single year. Money that should have been compounding your retirement. Over 15 years, that gap turns into $30,000 to $100,000 lost, just in fees to worse results. Index funds, low cost, broad diversification, boring. Boring is what wins.
Everything works better with more income. Your 40s and 50s are your peak earning years. This is your window to increase what comes in, not just cut what goes out. Negotiate a raise, even $5,000 more per year, invested entirely into your 401k. At 7% for 15 years becomes $17,500 from one conversation with your employer. Switch jobs. The single fastest way to increase salary in most industries is changing employers. The average raise from switching is 10 to 20%, not 3 to 5% from a promotion. Real money. If you have been at the same company for 5 years, your market value has probably grown more than your pay has. Add side income. An extra $500 to $1,000 a month from a skill you already have. Consulting, teaching, freelancing. Invested directly into retirement accounts is $6,000 to $12,000 a year going toward the goal. Every dollar of side income you invest compounds just as hard as any other dollar. The income increases the multiplier. It makes everything else work faster. Conventional financial advice says find $50 a month to save. That is too slow for someone who is behind. The aggressive version is lifestyle deflation. Intentionally reducing your standard of living in your 40s and 50s to compress a 30-year savings timeline into 15. The average car payment in America is $735 a month. Drive a paid-off car for 5 more years instead of upgrading and invest that $735 a month at 7% for 5 years. That is $51,400 directly into retirement from one car decision. The house, downsizing frees up $200 to $2,000 a month in most cases. That is not a small number. That is a life-changing number if it goes into a retirement account for 15 years. The subscriptions. The average American spends $219 a month on subscriptions, streaming services, apps, memberships, things they signed up for and forgot about. Cut that in half. That is $320 a year. Invested for 15 years at 7%, $26,000 from cutting subscriptions. Here's the mindset shift. This is not deprivation. This is wealth compression. You are not giving things up. You are buying time. Paying off debt is investing. Credit card debt at 25% interest is a guaranteed negative 25% return on your money. Paying it off is investing. It is the safest investment you can make. If you are trying to fund a 401k while carrying high interest credit card debt, you are fighting yourself. The 25% you are paying in interest on that debt is almost certainly higher than the 7% you are earning in the market. Pay the debt first, then max the retirement accounts.
The sequence matters. High interest debt first,
Then everything else.
Got a money MC. Yo, Baltimore. Here's the playbook. Step 1, employer match, non-negotiable. If your employer offers a 401k match, your very first move is contributing enough to get every single dollar of that match. A 50% match is a 50% guaranteed return on your money before the market does anything. Nothing else beats that. Not index funds, not real estate, nothing. Step 2, max the 401 to your age limit. Under 50, that is 23, 500 a year. Over 50, that is 31,000. Ages 60 to 63, that is 34, 750 with the super catch-up. This is your single biggest lever. The tax advantage alone, money going in before taxes, growing tax deferred, is worth thousands of dollars every year on top of the investment return. Step 3, open a Roth IRA, $7,000 a year. Under 50, 8,000. Over 50, you pay taxes on it now. Then it grows completely tax-free. When you pull it out in retirement, zero taxes. The government made that deal with you up front, and they have to honor it. For a late starter who expects to be in a higher tax bracket in retirement, the Roth is especially powerful. Step 4, max the HSA. If you have a high deductible health plan, the HSA is your secret weapon. For 150 if you are under 55, 150 if you are 50 or older, pre-taxing, gross tax-free out for medical expenses. After 65, you can use it for anything. This is the only triple tax advantage account that exists. Use it every year. Do not touch it. Let it grow. Step 5, audit the big 3. Housing, car, subscriptions. Look at all 3 with fresh eyes. Can you downsize? Can you drive what you have for 3 more years? Can you cut subscriptions in half? Just these 3 categories can free up $500 to $3,000 a month in most households. That is $18,000 to $36,000 a year that can go into your retirement account. Step 6, kill high interest debt. Credit cards, any debt over 10% interest, attack it immediately with every extra dollar you have. Once it is gone, redirect every payment you were making on it straight into your 401k or Roth IRA. The debt payoff becomes a permanent contribution. Step 7, run the home equity numbers. Not everyone should downsize, but everyone should do the math. What is your home worth right now? What do you owe? What would a smaller place cost in your area? What would the monthly savings be? Run those numbers honestly if the math works. And for many people it works better than they expect. Take it seriously. Step 8, invest aggressively enough. Low-cost index funds, 60 to 80% stocks, depending on your age and your actual timeline. Do not get conservative too early. A dollar invested at 7% for 15 years doubles. You need time and growth, not protection and low returns. Check the expense ratios on every fund you are in. Anything above 0.5%, find a lower cost alternative. Step 9, increase your income. Negotiate, switch jobs if the market will pay you more. Start a side stream with skills you already have. Every extra dollar earned and invested compounds exactly as hard as any other dollar. Income is the multiplier that makes everything else in this work faster. Step 10, if you are 60 to 63, use the super catch-up. This is the most overlooked tool in retirement planning right now. Secure 2.0 created a 4-year window where people age 60, 61, 62, and 63 can put 34.70 into their 401k in a single year. That is 250 more than the standard catch-up. If your plan offers it and you are in that age window, max it out. This window closes when you turn 64 and goes back to the standard limit. Let me show you what is actually possible. You are 40 years old. You have zero, literally zero, saved for retirement. You start putting away $23,500 a year into your 401k. The market averages 7% return, which it has for 70 years. By age 65, you are looking at close to 1.5 million. Starting from zero at 40, 1.5 million by 65. The math works. Now maybe you're 50. You think you're too far behind. You're not when you turn 50. The government lets you contribute more under 50. The 401k limit is $23,500 a year. At 50 and older, it jumps to $31,000. That extra 7 and 500 a year is called a catch-up contribution. It was designed specifically for people in your situation. 0 at 50, contributing the maximum, 31,000 a year. Same 7% return. By 65, you're looking at nearly 800,000. That is not nothing. That is real money. That is a foundation. And if you're 60, 61, 62, or 63, I need to tell you about something that most people have never heard of. It's brand new. It started in 2025. It's called the Super Catch-Up, and it came from a law called Secure 2.0. At ages 60 to 63, you can now put $34,750 a year into your 401k. Not 31,000, not 23,500, $34,750 a year. That is the government saying, we know you're in the final stretch. Here is a bigger window. Use it. Most people in that age group have never heard this number. If you are 60, 61, 62, or 63, this is your moment.
Yeah, the money MC.
Fist!
Starting late is harder. Harsh. I'm not gonna pretend it isn't. The math doesn't lie, but the math also doesn't say impossible.
Skirt! 0 at 40 becomes 1.5 million at 65. 0 at 50 becomes 800,000 at 65.
These are real numbers. These are doable numbers. The difference between people who build something from a late start and people who don't is not luck. It is not intelligent. It is not even discipline. It is one decision, one move, then another, then the next one. You do not need to fix everything today. You need to fix one thing. Pick the first step, do that, then do the next one. That is the whole game. You're not too late. The numbers prove it. Now you just gotta believe it. Subscribe to the Money MC. Baltimore, MD, Washington, DC, Pittsburgh, PA, Long Beach, California. Share this with someone who needed to hear it. Stay smart, stay solid, stay free. We out.